Well, the heat is here and it's going to be with us all week, but that doesn't mean we'll be completely dry. There are some thunderstorm chances along the edge of that ridge, and we take a look at when temperatures might cool just a bit. So one of the things that came in over the weekend is smoke riding along the edge of that upper level ridge or heat dome to the west. We're in a northwest flow aloft. It brings us perfectly aligned with those Western Canadian wildfires and really brought down the air quality pretty much across the state here, especially overnight. And we can really see that plume of smoke visible on satellite imagery here. It's that kind of dirty gray color we become familiar with, whereas cloud cover is bright white, where we see some of those storms. Now, we saw a peak of the air quality at 176. This is at 2 a.m. Monday, so late Sunday night. That is unhealthy for everybody. So that's getting to be pretty gross out there. It's come down. It's in the unhealthy for sensitive groups and even moderate levels for most of us. And by the end of the day, we're expecting most of central and southern Minnesota to see moderate air quality with the unhealthy for sensitive group categories just into northeastern Minnesota. Southerly winds helping us out today. So as the heat blows in from the south, at least in the surface level, those southerly winds helping to push that surface smoke to the north, and that's what affects the air quality. The skies will still be hazy though, because we're still in this northwest flow, though as the heat dome expands a little bit more north and east, that will probably push some of that upper level smoke slowly to the north and east of us as well. But this is the heat dome. This is what it looks like when we look at it in an upper level pattern. The peak of the heat looks to be Wednesday, Thursday for most of us in the central U.S. Lots of triple digits across Texas, the plains, even potentially up into southern Minnesota. Now, the thing that could throw a wrench in the temperatures Wednesday, Thursday, which would be a good thing, is if we get some of these overnight thunderstorm chances to develop. Then we have cloud debris left over from thunderstorms. So the first one of those chances comes tomorrow night. We could see some showers and thunderstorms. And then again on Friday, the chance of some showers and thunderstorms. On the edge of the hottest air aloft is where we look for these storms to form. This is looking at mid-level temperatures, and we're going to be right on the edge of what's considered a capped atmosphere, where it's very warm aloft that prevents air from rising through that middle layer to produce thunderstorms. But when we look at the edge of the cap, plus when we get these low-level jet streams, winds accelerate at about 4,000 feet above the ground overnight because it kind of becomes separated from the lower atmosphere. All those things combined can produce clusters of storms. Now, later today, we might see an isolated thunderstorm or two across somewhere in east central Minnesota. Some of the models hinting at this, maybe before some of that hot air aloft gets in that could cap the atmosphere. If some of those thunderstorms pop up, they will be isolated, and it will be mainly a hail threat or an isolated wind gust. We do actually have a marginal risk, pretty low, level 1 out of 5 of severe weather. And then tomorrow, we're going to see thunderstorms develop across the Dakotas to the west. Some of that morning activity fizzling out, but then in the evening and overnight, some thunderstorms could redevelop and then push east into early Wednesday. And this is when we might have some of those leftover clouds. If they persist into the morning Wednesday, that could keep temperatures cooler than where they otherwise might be. But near 90 today, tomorrow should be into the 90s across southern and central Minnesota. The North Shore will be a little bit better here, but even there, we're going to get into a flow that will allow things to warm up. Wednesday, one of the hotter days. Again, if we can get those clouds out early enough, mid to upper 90s, maybe a shot at 100. Same thing on Thursday. Now, we are going to be saved a little bit in that we won't see the real humid stuff. Heat index won't be much higher than the actual temperature Wednesday, Thursday, and that's because dew points aren't expected to really get into the 70s for very long. If we had low 70s dew points with those upper 90s temperatures, we'd be looking at excessive heat watches and warnings with that heat index gets at 105 or higher. That probably won't happen. But again, some of those thunderstorm complexes could change that equation and bring some of that moisture into the lower atmosphere that otherwise wouldn't be here on a deep level. So that's some of the things we're watching. We're in a pattern where it is kind of unpredictable. These thunderstorms can develop kind of anywhere on the edge of the cap in the overnight hours, but it's not a guarantee. And if they do develop, it can kind of change the next day's forecasts or not. So most of us will be dry most of the time, however, and that means the drought will worsen. But prepare for several days of 90s. Even if we have some of those morning clouds Wednesday, we will still probably hit 90 anyway. So we're looking at 5 more 90s at least. That'll make it 20 for this year so far. 13 is average, in case you forgot and are keeping track at home.